They mocked him, called him paranoid, said he was just another old man who couldn't handle a storm. But when Hurricane Ian turned Miami into a death trap and 2 people were drowning in rising floodwaters, 72-year-old Robert Martinez did something that left his neighbors speechless. He dove into the chaos and reminded everyone that some skills never fade. They just wait quietly for the moment they're needed most. Welcome to Tales of Valor. Before we continue this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button to support the channel. Robert Bob Martinez was 72 years old and lived alone in a small house in Miami's Coral Gables neighborhood. Since retirement, he'd lived a quiet, modest life. His neighbors knew him as just an old, quiet man. Nobody had ever bothered to ask about his past. As Hurricane Ian approached Florida, Miami residents were making their preparations. Robert was also reinforcing his home, stocking up on water and food. But his neighbors saw these preparations as old man paranoia. His young neighbor Jake Williams, 28, a real estate agent, would laugh and say, "Bob, don't overdo it. You just stay home and watch TV. We young folks can handle this." His other neighbor, Maria Gonzalez, would add, "Robert, just trust your age. This stuff is our job." Robert never said anything. He just continued his preparations. Hurricane Ian arrived earlier than expected and hit Miami hard. Winds reached 150 miles per hour. The rain was torrential. Within hours, neighborhoods began flooding. Robert's house, being on higher ground, hadn't flooded yet. But he could see from his window that the houses down the street were underwater. His neighbors were trapped on their rooftops. "Help us!" Maria screamed from her rooftop. Her 8-year-old son Carlos was with her. The water level was rising fast. Jake was also stuck on his own rooftop. "Somebody call 911, he was shouting. Robert assessed the situation from his window. The water level was 6 feet and rising. Emergency crews wouldn't arrive for hours. Maria, Carlos, and Jake were facing drowning. Robert quietly put on his raincoat and pulled an old rope from his basement. Then he walked out the door and into the water. "What are you doing, Robert?" Jake yelled. "You're old. You'll drown." Robert didn't answer. He dove into the water and began swimming against the powerful current. 25 years of Navy SEAL training still lived in every cell of his body. Underwater, he navigated perfectly, calculating the current as he swam. First, he reached Maria's house. "Get down," he commanded. Maria hesitated. "I can't get Carlos, the water's too deep." Robert took the child in his arms, held Maria around the waist with his other hand, then executed a perfect rescue swim to get them to safety. "How did you?" Maria watched in amazement. Robert dove back into the water. This time he swam toward Jake. The current had grown even stronger, but it wasn't a problem for him. When he reached Jake's house, the young man was in full panic. "Stay calm," Robert said. "Do exactly what I tell you." Jake tried to argue, but Robert's voice carried such authority that he automatically obeyed. Robert safely transported him to the other side. After 3 rescue operations were complete, Robert calmly returned to his house. He changed his clothes and began watching television, as if nothing had happened. The next day, after the storm passed, neighbors knocked on Robert's door. Jake, Maria, Carlos, and several other residents had come. "Robert," Jake began, "what you did yesterday, how was that possible? You—" "Who are you?" Maria asked. "What you did underwater wasn't normal." Robert remained silent for a long time. Then he took a deep breath. "A long time ago, I was a Navy SEAL. I served for 25 years. I was a specialist in underwater rescue operations." Everyone froze. "Navy SEAL?" Jake's mouth hung open. "You were a real Navy SEAL?" "Yes, but now I'm just a retiree." Maria wiped her eyes. "You saved our lives, and we thought you were. You thought I was old and useless." Robert smiled. "You were right too. I am old, but some things are never forgotten." Carlos put his small hand in Robert's. "Thank you, Uncle Bob. You're a real hero." Robert ruffled the child's hair. "No, Carlos, I'm just your neighbor." From that day forward, everything in the neighborhood changed. No one saw Robert as just an old, quiet man anymore. They knew he was a humble hero. And Robert still lives in that same small house, still quietly going through his days. But now his neighbors look at him differently, because that's how real heroes live, quietly, humbly, but always ready. Hurricane Ian came and went, but the lesson learned that night was never forgotten. Never judge someone by their appearance, because even the most ordinary people can have extraordinary pasts. If this story moved you, subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and write "respect" in the comments. Because at Tales of Valor, we believe the most powerful stories don't shout, they wait quietly.